We have the pleasure of welcoming Dennis Dinkevych today to our interview series. I'm Aishwarya Jain from the peopleHum team. Before we begin, just a quick intro of peopleHum. peopleHum is an end-to-end, one-view integrated human capital management automation platform, the winner of the 2019 Global Cody Award for HCM that is specifically built for crafted employee experiences and the future of work with AI and automation technologies. We run the peopleHum blog and video channel, which receives upwards of 200,000 visitors a year and publish around 2 interviews with well-known names globally every month. And now for our guest, Dennis Dinkevych is the talent sourcing lead of Ideal Solutions Group. He has helped organizations identify and attract the most prospective talent on a global scale. He has emerged as a sourcing leader who has a great desire to learn and specializes in analytics. His skills in sourcing tools, pipeline building, and recruiting marketing are very well recognized. We are very happy to have someone of the stage to join us here on our interview series. Welcome, Dennis. We're thrilled to have you.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks so much for having me.
So the first question I had for you, Dennis, was if you could tell us something about your interesting work as a sourcing lead.
The main point I've switched to sourcing is because it's like more interesting for me, just because, I'm okay with all of these touchy things, and I really like internet and the value it providing to us. So yeah, that's why I think I'm currently doing sourcing only. But still, I'm happy that I have this recruitment background. I think that it helped me to, collaborate with the recruitment function because, again, I think it's essential for us to, make this collaboration really efficient.
Absolutely. I also think that, a lot of organizations are still not aware of sourcing and they do not really, find this as very important. But, can you tell us why is it so important and why should organizations really focus on good sourcing?
Yeah, so first of all, I think that nowadays, recruitment is somehow related to marketing and to selling jobs, actually. And the capacity of this job market is really huge. And that's why actually the demand for talent is also super high. And I think that the actual talent realizing it and so being over demanded, they just, able to choose. So not only to choose what role to apply for, but already choose from the roles that employers offering them. That's why I think it's really not a good idea just to, post and pray. So everyone just come and apply to your role. That's why, you need to find these people from the passive market, right? And then engage them and know how to engage them. So I think sourcing, it's not only about searching, right? But also about providing really extensive engagement part, which can vary, based on the type of the role we are talking about. But still, I think it's very, very essential to be able for the organization to be able to choose this talent from the market and not only, waiting for people to apply. So I think that it has really straight impact onto how these people will perform and what actually this organization can achieve with the help of these people.
I think absolutely true. And it's very interesting the way you say that recruiting is more of marketing. So can you tell us how can organizations, effectively engage in recruitment marketing?
Yeah, so I think first of all that recruitment marketing should start from corporate blog. I think that corporate blog, engaging your employees to blogs about something they are achieving in their jobs. I think it's essential because this, part of awareness when candidate, not specifically looking for a job, but for example, when people Googling something, to find a solution. And, this moment when they find a solution on your corporate blog is actually the moment when they become aware of you as an employer And, because you actually, in this particular case, you are solving their problem and you are just providing them within the answer on the question they have. So it's really super strong, a brand establishment when it's coming through this way. That's why I think the first thing that organizations should do is to just to block about how they do the job, right? How they solving the problems. I don't know. For now, it's really kind of a hype topic about how they like operating remotely, how they making sure their like remote meetings are efficient and stuff like this. Another part of it is actually having a really informative career site. I believe so. When you have some blogs which are like redirecting people to your career site, it should provide people within like most of the answers on the questions they have. So I think it's really important for. I believe it's not even recruiters should build it, but you should engage some people from your development department, right? If it's not WordPress or something like this, so it should be designed all together within all organization and to provide really robust information about type of the roles, about each role in particular, about departments, about your culture and stuff like this. That's actually how you can, with the help of marketing, how you can let your candidates to apply, right? So how you can somehow to convert them. And I think that the third part of recruitment marketing scenarios is actually how you are approaching people, right? So whether you are using their personal mail address or just reaching the number over the LinkedIn. So what type of outreach you using, so right? Whether you are setting some automatic follow-ups for people just to make sure that they are aware of this opportunity and rejecting it and not missing any kind of stuff they can probably miss. So the frequency of your reach outs, the amount of channels you are using to reach out people, so that's also a really important part. And I think that it's okay that currently recruitment practices adopting best practices from sales and from marketing, and applying them to actually our day-to-day work in order to make sure that we are reaching these over-demanded markets, and reaching to actual people and letting them know about the opportunities we have for them.
Yes, actually, that's very insightful. And, what do you think about a chatbot, placing a chatbot on the career site? Does that help?
It definitely makes sense because not only chatbot, you can actually put, some push notifications for people. For example, when they are visiting your career page, you can send them a push notification and ask whether they want us to, notify them as soon as, for example, this type of the role will be available. And also chatbot also makes sense. So first of all, chatbot can provide these additional answers on some questions people still have. Also, it can link to your Facebook corporate page. For example, if people want to discuss some particular things they are interested about. And just in general, maintaining this database, candidate database with the help of chatbot is definitely a good idea, I believe.
All right, so that makes sense. And tell us, how do you believe that data-driven recruitment is important, and what sort of expertise is needed in search algorithms to effectively recruit for a particular position?
Yeah, I think that it's definitely super important, but I believe that most of the times, actually, when people say that their recruitment is data-driven, it's actually rather because it's super popular approach, right? But not because they actually have these processes being data-driven. But I believe why it's important. So first of all, the numbers and the statistics, it's obviously something we can more rely on instead of just our expectations and suggestions and assumptions. Then another thing is actually if you like compare your previous roles you were recruiting for, if you have a specific numbers of, for example, how many people you found, right? How many of them you were contacted, how many of them will respond, and then right through the whole of the interviewing funnel, right? So in the end, you need to have like how many people you need to contact in general to make one hire. So I think it's really great if you have an understanding, in the beginning of working with some particular role, how many people you should fill in the pipeline in order to, considering all of your previous placements. So how you should, operate in this direction. Another thing about data-driven recruitment is that you can always provide your hiring managers within, again, something that they could rely on with data, with numbers, right? So if, for example, this week you didn't provide them within enough amount of candidates for them to interview, right? So they can ask you why, and you can actually tell them that, okay, so this week I contacted this amount of people and this amount of people responded, but they are not interested, and etc. Yeah, so you can also make sure that everyone from the process, because usually hiring managers are not experts in hiring, right? So they only can guess whether you are good or not. But when you're providing them within the numbers, I believe it's also ensuring that you are like building really transparent relationships, that you can set some expectations with them. And again, you can rely on it based on your previous experience if you measuring these numbers. And then you can rely on them as a silver bullets, right? And making sure that you are reaching your goals, like doing it in time and actually over exceeding the expectations of hiring managers. Yeah, so I think that definitely Ukraine is not the most developed market in terms of recruitment practices and adoption of all of these things. But for me, I think that everyone can start just from the very basic spreadsheet, just very basic table, when you can just track these things like manually. I believe that data-driven, so for many people, I believe data-driven sounds like something, being automated and something that are happening on the backside and then just providing us within the insights. So I believe it's a kind of mistake for people who think so, because actually you need to build it manually, and then actually it can be automated. But first of all, you need just to manually log these numbers and see, for example, within the basics Excel formulas, you can see the conversion rate, right, between, for example, the amount of people you found and the amount of people you reached. Everything starts from these small parts, but then obviously when you become more familiar within this spreadsheet and filling it like weekly, obviously that you're going to want to somehow scale it, automate it, and etc. Then you can actually involve someone who are good enough in writing functions in Excel and make it like more interactive and do it already in dashboard view. Then actually it can be integrated within your applicant tracking system if it does not provide you with such kind of analytics, which actually usually happens as so. So there are no ideal applicant tracking systems which can provide you within the analytics you want. Yeah, so and then actually by the need you can engage your engineers so they can somehow help you to integrate again and scale these things. Set up recurring email reports for hiring manager, for example, and for you each Monday of each week. But anyway, it should start from the very small parts, I believe. And that's how you actually being able to become like data-driven indeed. That's it.
Right, absolutely. Just start from the basics and use Excel formulas. And in fact, that's kind of the ambition that we have at peopleHum. If you just load data and resumes in it, we kind of give you a hiring dashboard which tells you what is your hired versus what's your offered versus what's your dropout. So just simple data and simple graphical format, and that really helps a lot because you know where your gaps are, and then who's your best recruiter, what is your attrition rate. So everything just in a gist to kind of tell you where you need to work on, and it's really the basics, as you said, that really matters, right? And when you talk about building a talent brand for organizations, is there a best practice to do that, or some best way for organizations to build their reputation online?
Yeah, so I think that brand actually for me starts so with the things I already mentioned, like corporate blog for me, is especially if it's separated, for example, for engineering, for marketing, for product. And so that's actually the way how people can, without joining you, realize how you are doing the job that they actually supposed to do if they join. So I think it's very important to have this kind of practice, employed within your organization, because when people realizing that your company is actually found a solution, right? They were like searching about. This is the most strong establishment of the brand they actually can have, because afterwards they will spread the word about you for their friends, right? For another potential employees. So they will just tell, oh, I was just Googling for some solution, then there is a company that called as such, and they found a blog post on their corporate page, and it actually helps me a lot. So really cool company. I believe that if they providing this stuff as a corporate blog post, then probably they're doing a great job. So yeah, I think that as in marketing, you need to provide people with some real value, right? And that's how you can actually establish this brand in their minds, and make them some kind of ambassadors of your brand. Even without being applied or reach out by you. Yeah, so I think that really good ways is corporate blogging. And another thing I think that also works is if you offering them with some kind of a checklist or PDF or white paper or something like this. So just in exchange for their email address, right? You're providing them within the value they're looking for, and then you actually able to reach them out within this email in particular, when, for example, you will have some role that's fitted for these people. So that's kind of how it works, I believe. First of all, you need to provide value, even considering that we are not talking about people buying something. Yes, we are talking about people buying the jobs we are offering them. But still, I think that it's really better when this relationship is being established in this scenario, when you providing the value first, and then actually these people become more loyal and more open to what you want to say them in terms of, job offering.
Mhm. Right, that makes a lot of sense, and that's really helpful actually. And so with the recent scenario, right, of coronavirus, how do you think sourcing has changed, or has it changed at all? And do you think that in the future there's going to be any change in sourcing, or are there going to be issues, people having issues with sourcing? Is there anything in your mind like that?
Yeah, so I think that definitely nowadays, due to the COVID pandemic, it's really become harder not only to reach people, but to get the positive response from them. Just because, so if this person not become, laid off due to the recent situation, then everyone trying to keep, strictly to the place they currently work, and just not to change anything because just the time of coronavirus is pretty changing and challenging enough. So yeah, I think it's a good idea for now to include all points related to changes which coronavirus brings to your company, so people can understand. So again, it's like the similar with providing them answers on the frequently asked questions, right? So they, first of all, everyone who you are reaching out now, they want to know, okay, so you are reaching out to me within this job. How your organization were affected within coronavirus, right? So how does it change your business, and maybe it's bring some changes to your benefits package and etc. So if you will provide people within answers on the most of these questions and just ensure them that if they will join you, you won't fire them in 1 month just because to another laid off, which is planned and which is going to be very soon. But no one actually telling this like in trust for people. And also, I think it's a good idea for you to ensure that you're reaching people over the email, because I think that so for me email is the first channel I usually use in priority of communication with channels with candidates, sorry. And but nowadays I think it's really very important, because I believe those people who are still employed and they're still working, I think that most of them are super focused on their jobs, and they are really visit LinkedIn rarely. So even like more rarely than before. That's why actually if you're reaching over them there, so it can be not that efficient, and the response rate would be not that high as you expect it to be. Yeah, and another thing about what will change in sourcing, I think that it will be still harder and harder to engage people. So we need to think about development of our campaigns. We definitely need to think about using retargeting ads in social media. So not only reaching people over the email or LinkedIn, but also showing them ads in the social networks they actually hanging out, just to make sure that they are, to convince them actually to apply, and not being afraid to make it like a little bit more times than they were expected, right? So nowadays this like the speed of life and the speed of changes, it just sometimes required to reassure that you are informing these people, and actually let them know informal decision, and make sure that you are not missing each of them.
Absolutely. I think a good candidate experience would really be essential to, kind of have a good branding for your organization, and also to ensure that your candidate does not really, is lost in the process, and give them like, confirmation as soon as possible, or just some news that will help them to, have lesser anxiety. And thank you for that explanation. So I'm going to wrap this up with the last question. If you have any other important sound bites that you'd like to leave our audience.
Yeah, I think that for those who still didn't realize that sourcing is good enough to adopt as a skill, I mean for recruiters, right? I really like eager for like so everyone can understand it, and step by step kind of involve themselves in this activity, and you will see how your numbers actually will increase very soon, and you become more results oriented and actually more productive recruiter. And also for everyone to stay safe, in this COVID-19 times. I believe that we'll get through it very soon. We just need to, wait for a little bit and make sure that we are applying all of the quarantine rules we have in our countries. And hopefully, as always, after big fall, it will be like a huge race and huge up. So I think that break times are like to be in the nearest future. So we just need to be strong and stay safe again.
Absolutely. Thank you for that wonderful message. It's important that we stay safe and hunkered down right now. And I think there will be a really good time coming after the pandemic too. And I completely agree with you. So we must be prepared for that as much as possible. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you, Dennis. I really appreciate your time and your views. Thank you so much for this learning experience.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks so much for having me. It was great to have a conversation with you. Thank you very much.